Who else uses public test build and has to constantly update that shenanigans? Oh look, a download button. Better click this right in the middle of you being in a call with somebody. I'll be back in 10 seconds or less. Depends on how fast this updates. Anyways, so we're back to this. And I just woke up at, yeah, I know, it says 8:20 p.m. and everyone's like, get up! I didn't have anything to do today. I mean, literally don't have a job. I mean, I can get up whenever I want, so that's the most depressing sentence I've ever said. But, that being said, let's do the next autism test I said I wanted to do. I wanted to see how accurate these are, and for me, special needs is one of those things that I really love. Well, when I say that, I love my special needs people, and I will always love anybody. If you've got a mental disorder and you've been diagnosed and you're struggling with it and you just want it and you want to feel, I want to say normal, I feel you on that. Like, I've known autistic people who are like the severity of like where they're mentally 12. I've met those people, and I've met Down syndrome people, and I knew a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. I knew a handful back in elementary school, and especially Down syndrome people. They were some of the nicest kids you could ask. They're just there. They're happy. They're just there. That's the best way to put it. And I will never, ever, ever in a million years make fun of somebody with autism or Asperger's or Down syndrome. I'll never do that to them, just because I know that they can't help their mental disorder. And pretty much everybody I know with autism that have been actually diagnosed by a doctor, they'll say the same thing. They don't want it. So anybody out there right now going, I'm autistic, shut up. You do not know what it's like to be autistic. You don't know what those people actually go through. I have severe OCD and ADHD. You don't want this. It is hard for me to get anything done in this day and age just because I'm unmedicated, and I was diagnosed as a child. If you watched the last the last autism test video, I probably explained it, but too long didn't read. Yeah, I have ADHD out the ass. If you watched any of my videos on YouTube, you'll be like, yeah, he's got ADHD from hell. I've got tea in front of me, so it has caffeine. Maybe it'll keep me focused. Who knows? But we're going to start with this one. We're not going to do this one. This one's too simple. We're going to do the dog one. Oh, really? Published back in 2001. All right. Let's see how accurate this is. I prefer to do things with others rather than on my own. No, I slightly agree. I'll see my way out. I prefer to do things the same way over and over. It really depends. Hold on. I slightly agree. My bad. So I did actually have be my way out. I prefer to do things the same way over and over again. The only reason, it really depends on what I'm doing. Because I practice cooking, and I want to find new ways to do things. But if it tastes good the way that I made it the first time, I'm going to continue doing that. I know how to make, it's like, because to be fair, if you're a cook and you have to cook a steak medium rare, you know the amount of time it takes. If I try to imagine something, I find it very easy to create a picture in my mind. I wonder how many people actually can, because they make it sound like you have a very vivid imagination. I frequently get so strongly absorbed in one thing that I lose sight of other things. Actually, I definitely agree with that. For the last week, I've been playing The Flame and the Flood, if I'm saying that one right. And I've been really trying to beat the game again, and oh my god, it's hard. But it's a lot of fun, and I have definitely been absorbed with it. But I feel like that's anybody. I often notice small noises and sound when others do not. Oh, I definitely agree with that. But that's because I have tinnitus. So my ears are constantly ringing, and I notice little sounds, and I can't help it. I usually notice car numbers, plates. I don't. The only time I do is if it actually spells something out. Other people frequently tell me that what I've said is impolite. Others, even though I think it's polite. No, I know when I'm saying something disrespectful, but most of the time I'm just being a smartass. When I'm reading a story, I can easily imagine what the characters may look like. As long as you give me a description. This is a black guy. He has an afro. Tall, short, muscular, fat. What are we looking at here? I am fascinated by dates. Am not. In a social group, I can easily keep track of different people's conversations. As long as I know the flow of the conversation, I don't see why not. I find social situations easy. Yeah, I definitely do. I tend to notice details that others do not. I actually have trained myself to do that. I would rather go to a library than a party. I would say slightly agree, just because it's not that I'm not anxious in social situations. I just hate the average person at this point. Like, I straight up cannot stand people. I find making up stories easy. Yep. I find myself drawn more strongly to people than things. Well, it really depends. I tend to have very strong interests which get upset when I can't pursue them. Nah. I enjoy social chit-chat, definitely. When I talk, it isn't always easy for others to get a word in edgewise. Definitely disagree. I am fascinated by numbers. Nah. Damn it. When I'm reading a story, I find it difficult to work out what the character's intentions. I swear I've taken this exact test on other platforms before. Oh, I find it difficult. No, my bad. Opposite. I don't particularly enjoy reading fiction. Definitely disagree. Because I can write fiction very easily. I find it hard to make new friends. No, not at all. I notice patterns and things all the time. I would rather go to a theater than a museum. Yeah. It does not upset me if my daily routine is disturbed. Yeah. Actually, I encourage it. I like doing random things. I frequently find that I don't know how to keep a conversation going. I find it easy to read between the lines. I mean, it really just depends on the person and if I'm willing to do it that day. If I don't feel like reading between the lines, I just won't. I usually concentrate. I read that as concrete first. Remember, I just woke up. I usually concentrate more on the whole picture rather than the small details. Yeah. I mean, it really just depends on if I feel like it. I am good at remembering phone numbers. The fuck I am. I have to like read it 10 times before it gets stuck in my head just for a short amount of time. My grandfather could do that. He would read a number and he would keep reading it over and over and over and over and over until he typed it in on the phone, and then he'd forget it. It was a trick he figured out a long time ago. I don't usually notice small changes in a situation or a person's appearance. No, I definitely can, and I've done that to people. And people are like, "What? How did you notice that?" I'm like, you just hurt your hand, didn't you? He's like, "How the hell did you know?" I'm like, "Because the way that you're holding your wrist." I mean, honestly, if you just look at the average person, you can tell a lot by them. A good key feature is if you can't tell if somebody's left or right-handed, look down at their pockets and see where the most stuff is in. Or if a guy has a knife, look where his knife is. Or a gun. I know how to tell if someone listening to me is getting bored. 32. I find it easy to do more than one thing at once. Nah. I mean, I can. That's what I mean by nah. When I talk on the phone, I'm not sure when it's my turn to speak. Definitely disagree. I enjoy doing things spontaneously. Definitely agree. I am often the last to understand a joke. No, I find it easy to work out what someone is thinking or feeling by looking at their face. The only problem I have with this is the intention behind it, is because I've learned in the last couple of years that people try to hide their intentions so much that they give up a lot of false flags. That's really the biggest problem here. If there is an interruption, I can switch back to what I was doing very quickly. Yeah, I am good at social chit-chat. How many times are you going to ask me the same question? This is like the third time I've read this question but written differently. People often tell me that I keep going on and on about the same thing. Yes, I've done that before, but that's because I'm a giant nerd. When I was young, I used to enjoy playing games involving pretend with others. I probably did. I'm 32, about to be 33. How the hell am I supposed to remember that? 21 days. No, actually 22 days. Yep, there's my birthday. Yeah. You know what's cool is about Windows is that if it knows your birthday, it actually will pop up in my notifications right here. It'll say happy birthday. Pokemon does it too, and so does Animal Crossing. Let's continue. I like to collect information about categories of things. It really depends on what it is. I find it difficult to imagine what it would be like to be someone else. Find it difficult? No. I like to plan activities I participate in carefully. Well, yeah, actually, yes, I definitely like to. And that's only because I want to make sure that everything I do is like, I want to have time for everything. Like if I go to the mall, like I wouldn't say I allocate time, but I like to go to places like Hot Topic, then Spencer's, then maybe the food court if I'm hungry, and then I'll keep going down that way and I'll go to my other favorite stores, stuff like that. I enjoy social occasions. Yeah, I do. It just depends on who's there, I guess you could say. I find it difficult to work out people's attention. See, again, that same question! New situations make me anxious. Not at all. I enjoy meeting new people. Yeah, I'm good. I'm a good diplomat. And for those of you who don't know what that means, here you go. An official representation of a country abroad. Well, we're going to remove the word country. We're going to say like company or whatever. Or friends. I'm not very good at remembering people's date of birth. I mean, no, I'm definitely not. That's what Facebook's for. I find it very easy to play games with children that involve pretend. Yeah. But you know what's funny about 49 is that I still remember my first ex-girlfriend's birthday, which is December 28th, 1992. Aha! Fuck all of you. So it says, the AQ doesn't really offer much insight into specific autistic traits as it only outputs a single score. Any score of 26 or greater indicates the presence of traits. Higher the score, the more autistic traits you have. Furthermore, 79.3% of autistic people score 32 or higher, whereas only 2% of controls do. That's an interesting parentheses phrase, or whatever you want to call it. So scores of 32 and above are particularly significant. The AQ is particularly sensitive in distinguishing between autistic and non-autistic adult females, as 92.3% of autistic females score 32 or higher compared to 1% of the control group. Do note that no single test is conclusive and not every autistic person necessarily scores above the defined threshold on each test. If you score low on the AQ test but still think you could be autistic, try taking a few other tests. Now remember, a lot of people out there, if you decide to take this test, this is not a definitive test like I just said. And I always recommend, do not take these tests seriously. Now, do they have some meaning behind them? They sure can. These could be a step in the right direction. You want to understand yourself a little bit more, and you want to see what this is, and you want to be like, okay, does this work for you? But realistically, don't take these tests as a definitive answer, because that's like taking a BuzzFeed quiz on what type of toast you are, and you're over here going, well, you know what it means? It's because it means that I am burnt toast, so that means I'm burnt out of life. Or you take the definitive answer of what house you'd be put in if you were in for Harry Potter. I do love those. I really do love those tests. Like I make sure that I come up as Gryffindor. I specifically make sure I come up as Gryffindor. But I did take the test once, like fully, and I think it said that I'm a Ravenclaw. I think Ravenclaw or Hufflepuff. I don't remember. But that is 16 minutes on my end. I need to edit this down just enough because there are some little things in here. But I'm going to highlight this score and I'm going to send it to my friends because I know my friends would find this hilarious just because they're always making fun of me. So I would like to be like, ha ha ha, you see? Stop being negative towards me. So Control A, Control C. If you want to take this test, it is embrace-autism.com, and there should be an entire section to tell you what's what and blah blah blah. See what you score on it and put your score down below. Let's see what everybody gets. If you liked what you saw, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and come back anytime you want. Later, taters.